So I'm working to hash out the meaning for a new collection that I'm close to launching. And it's actually going to be picked up by Uncommon Goods. So they're going to be doing the necklace and the earrings of this collection. The name of it is called the Ever Evolving Collection. And I'm just trying to distill how I'm going to write about it in the info card and in its description, because essentially this collection is going to be about how we are always evolving and changing. And, you know, many of us, we find a lot of fear in that change when things feel like they abruptly need to go differently. It's very unnerving, right? Or that we did something wrong, or that we're a failure. Essentially that we are bad and wrong, so we shouldn't try anyway, right? A lot of us go to that kind of initial response. And a lot of times people stay there and then they stop trying and they just are like, well, that's not for me. But the only way you fail at something is if you stop trying and you stop changing and you stop growing and you stop seeking out new understanding and finding different paths and different ways to move forward. And the moment you embrace the idea of that change is the point, that going with the flow means there's going to be failures. There's going to be getting it wrong. There's going to be like many times where things don't go the way you want them to. But that doesn't mean anything about your character. It's not a judgment on you, on who you are, on what you're capable of. It is just information. It's just invaluable, really, experience that shows you more about what you want and what you don't want and what works and what doesn't work. And I think the place where we start to feel really stagnant and upset and depressed and anxious is when we don't use that information to make a change, to evolve, to move towards the things we want and move away from the ones we don't, because we feel like we can't. We feel like we're stuck where we are. We have no choice. We've got to just live in this shitty space that we have found ourselves in because we have other responsibilities, right? And we have bills to pay. Maybe we have kids to take care of. Whatever it is, we start to look at life as being in this stopping point. Like we're where we are and we're now stuck here because of our external circumstances. But that feeling, I think, comes from feeling like you can't trust in your own ability and intuition and power and strength and capabilities to actually create the thing you want. Like it's really more of just self-doubt and insecurity and lack of belief in yourself that you are someone who could have that life that you want. So instead of moving towards the things you want, taking the inspired action, taking the next inspired step and living in there and seeing what happens next, you stay where you are because you think that's not possible for you. And you feel like if you do that, you're going to lose all these other things. Instead of that, if you do that, these other things will also go better. The other areas of your life will also improve. Your relation, the people that you care for, the people that do rely on you will also benefit from you following your inspiration, for you following your spark, your light. And I think that's a really good point, that like the difference between living in the dark and living in the light is really just your belief and willingness to follow the light, to step into it, to stop saying no to the things that excite you and inspire you, to stop saying, well, I can't have that because I have all of this going on. But all of this shit that's going on could move forward with you when you step into your best self and when you evolve and when you become the person that you want to be and start moving towards the things in life that you want to create. Everyone who is like in your life, who is touched by your lived experience, is going to benefit from that. Because you are going to be happier and more joyful and more passionate and more excited and more lit up. You are going to be being a different person than you are when you're choosing to stay in circumstances or situations or relationships or whatever it is that you are miserable and in and anxious and depressed. When you feel like this is just how life goes for me and everything always goes to shit and I just expect it, then you cannot have anything different than that. The only way to have something different than that is to actively embrace evolution, your own evolution, to embrace changing, to embrace growth. The light isn't ever not there. It's just your willingness to step towards it or not is the only thing that keeps you in the darkness. It doesn't matter what happens around you. It doesn't matter what anyone else does. You are the only one who gets to say whether you drown in your circumstances and accept that this is how life is for you and you don't get to be happy ever, or you get to decide that I know what I feel. I know what I want. I can see what feels good versus what doesn't feel good. And I have a choice as to which I engage with. I have a choice as to believing in myself and my capability to move towards those things or not. Because really, it's not about all your other circumstances. It's not about all your other relationships. It's not about your rent. It's not about your bills. It's not about your kids. It's about trusting that you are capable, trusting that you are smart, trusting that you are adaptable, trusting that you're resilient, trusting that you are the kind of person who, when things don't work, you keep going, because you can't fail when you keep going. You're going to have lots and lots of missteps along the way. That's normal. Everybody has that. It could be that, and that can be years long. It can be a long journey. It's the reason you have a long life, perhaps. Like, you have all of this time that you are existing to make choices about what life you want to be living. And you can choose that. No one can choose it for you, and no circumstances can dictate what you have. Those are all changeable. But your internal state of belief on whether you get to have good things or not, whether you get to have a good life or not, whether joy and peace are possible for you or abundance is possible for you or not, those are a choice in your belief system, not a fate determined by the job you currently have and the children that you adore and need to take care of. Those are part of your life that are affected by your choices, sure. But they're more negatively affected by your choices that are stemmed in self-pity or defeat or any of those things, you know? So the idea with what I want to convey in this collection is essentially to embrace the process of growth, of change, to be, instead of being defensive about what you've done wrong and what's not working and why things never work out for you, being curious about what do you need to do differently? How do you need to look at things differently? What different perspective do you need to hold to be able to create space for the things you actually want in your life? Because you can't change all the circumstances and the people, but you can change you. You can change your internal state and belief system to align with possibility and hope and connection and or not, right? Like your entire life is in your own hands. And the key to kind of moving forward, right, is embracing change, because forward movement in and of itself is some form of evolution. And when you try not to move forward, like the life is going to still pull you that way anyway, and you're being dragged by it. And that feels shitty. It makes sense that feels shitty. So when you instead try to step into your next inspired space, your next inspired thought, idea, light bulb moment, and find joy in it and continue to explore it and be curious about it, and you keep seeing new ways forward. That's what I talked about in my last session. Like, that is a way forward. I don't know that it's the only way forward, but you know, that I'm not God. I'm not, well, you know, I'm not like the answer to everything. I don't have all the answers, but I know what feels attuned for me and what doesn't. And I know what feels very common to all teachings from anyone who is religious teachers or thought leaders, and they all have such an underlying current of existing in this moment and letting go of expectation and letting go of how things went in the past and attachment to like beliefs of how something is gonna go based on that, and instead figuring out what feels great, what feels exciting, what feels joyful, what feels loving, what feels warm, what feels like what lights you up. You can only find your light by following what lights you up. Not all the same things light up the same people, right? Like, we all have different things that light us up and that excite us. And that is how and why we create such a beautiful world. The more we can step into those things, I think, the more our world gets more collaborative, the more our world can heal and connect and find happiness and success and love together. But it only happens one person at a time. And, you know, if you have kids, your kids are never taking your advice based on what you tell them if you're not doing it. Like, they're learning from what you model, from what you do. So when you are modeling living a life that is led by inspiration and love and contribution, they're going to see that, and they're going to see the snowball effect of what that creates and how it affects them, how your happiness and joy affects them as well. But you have to believe it. You have to believe that life is even possible for you. So this went in a lot of different, it's similar directions, but different. And I'm still a little bit struggling with how I want to word this collection. But the essence of it is going to be embracing like your own becoming, recognizing the things that work and embracing that constant transformation, learning, adapting, and keep moving forward. And, you know, when continuing to keep trying, continuing to keep moving towards that change by trying new things and new paths, learning what to embrace and what to release and what makes the impact that you want it to have and that you want to have. All of that requires following your inner knowing, not what other people have, you know, laid out in a blueprint for you to do. Only you can feel your way into the path that grows you the way you wish to grow. Because none of us, there's no end point. There's no, okay, it's done now. As long as you're alive, evolution is the point. As long as you're alive, growth, change, moving forward in one way or another is the point. It's inherent to it. And the more you resist that, the more you want to stop having to work on anything and stop doing it, the less happy you get to be and the less you get to enjoy this experience. Because it's going to happen whether you want it to or not. Anyway, I would love to know, you know, what this brought up for anybody. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to have any conversations in the comments. Let me know. Because I have committed to posting my sessions here in my new series on YouTube, Jaclyn Nicole Talk Out Loud. And I hope you'll join me in this journey to see what stepping into what feels inspired for me manifests and how it can help you see how to do that in your own life. I realized I needed to add one more thing. Really, the thing about the Ever-Evolving collection is that we often use failure or getting something wrong to validate our insecurities, to like prove that it's true that we're worthless and unlovable and never going to be able to have the life or the relationships or the things that we want. It's such a common thing to kind of use getting something wrong as the judgment on ourselves not being able to do it. And really, I wanted this collection to remind us that, like, to break that validation loop, to kind of make it a tool that helps you stop looking at every time you make a mistake or get something wrong or fail as a moral conviction on your character, and instead look at it as a pivotal, essential part of the information needed to figure out how to pivot and what needs to change for you to be able to actually move towards becoming the you that you want to be and having the life that you want to create. So, yeah, sorry, I had to add that. Okay, I'm out.